Hi, I'm Brad Mitchell, publisher of Northeast Ohio Parent Magazine. Welcome to Virtual Camp Fair, Camp and Summer Program Fair 2021. This is our second session of the day, and we are excited to be talking with Mandel JCC and their overnight camp, Camp Wise. We are thrilled to have Mandel JCC as one of our silver sponsors as well. So they'll also participate in our in-person camp fairs on March 20th and March 28th. You can learn more about that at northeastohioparent.com. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our editor of our magazine, Angela Gartner, who's helped with the content sessions, and she'll introduce our speakers today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second session. Again, we are really excited to have Mandel JCC here. We have Bess Brown with us and Adrionna Powell-Lawrence. They're going to be talking to us about creating a summer experience with day and overnight camp and supporting a healthy transition from one to the other. And we are looking forward to hearing their presentation. Before they share their screen, I just want to do some housekeeping tips for everyone. Please make sure that you're muted throughout the presentation, but you can ask the presenters questions. Just ask your questions through the chat format. We will go ahead and read those questions to them. You can ask questions all throughout the chat. So feel free to ask whenever you feel you need to ask. And we will also leave some time at the end too. But we look forward to hearing from Adrionna and Bess, and I'm going to have them go ahead and take it away. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And just to introduce myself, as Angela said, I am Bess Brown. I'm the Assistant Camp Director at Camp Wise.
And I'm Adrionna Powell-Lawrence. I am the J-Day Camps Program Coordinator, just like our day camp, yeah.
And we're just gonna be talking about, the transition from day camp to overnight camp. We're both camp people, and I think we've both had experience at our respective camps and also camps outside of the Cleveland community. And we just think that camping is so important, and are going to share a little bit about what the transition looks like with you all today.
First, we want to just kind of give you a little rundown of what both of our camps are. So for our J-Day camps, we start off with kindergarten, like you're entering kindergarten, and we go all the way to 6th grade. It's a typical day. And as you see, we do have specific sessions that are going on for this summer. We are doing 2-week sessions just to make sure it keeps it safe, more safer this year, and our pods are smaller. But with our K through 1, most of the time they kind of get a taste of everything at camp. They would get swim lessons, and AM and PM care is also offered with our day camps. With our 2nd through 6th is kind of different. We offer what we call majors, where basically you are put into a certain grade, and then you get to choose from a certain of majors such as performing arts, creative arts, athletics, outdoor adventure. So it also kind of hones on what our 2nd through 6th want to do.
So at Camp Wise, also, fondly known as the home of happiness, it is an overnight camp experience. Our offices are at the Mandel JCC in Cleveland, but our actual facility is out in Chardon, Ohio. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful space to be in the summertime and in the wintertime if you're lucky enough to get out there. We offer 2, 3, and 4-week session options starting beginning of June, going through the entire summer, all the way through August. Our sessions are typically split up. We have first session and second session. So that is the first half of the summer and then the second half of the summer. Kids can start at Camp Wise as early as entering 2nd grade and attend all the way through 12th grade. And as you're going through, as you get older and you're going up in grades, you're also switching villages, and that village, going up in your villages really is an opportunity to build upon the skills that you've learned as a young camper and now implement them as an older camper.
So now we kind of wanted to talk to you about like, what's the point? Why do we want to do this whole summer experience with a day camp or an overnight camp? And one of the things is that no matter if you're at our day camp or overnight camp, it's a huge outdoor focus. No matter the age, we are very tech free, like no phones unless necessary, which is usually used by like our lead counselors or our supervisors. That way is contact with each other if they're far away. Another thing is just enjoying all of our nature that's around us. I know over in Chardon, Ohio, there is a lot of nature and wonderful forests and just like different type of trees to see and figure out. And then we do have a lot of basic camp things. We at overnight, not to speak for Bess, but I know they have a wonderful, gorgeous lake out in Chardon. And then we have a ropes course over at our day camp. Because we are at the J this year, we are incorporating our more gaga pits and like outdoor water slides and still using our outdoor pool. So that way the kids still get a chance to get those swim lessons and do their free swim with their pod.
So there are a lot of skills, gained at J-Day camps. I'm actually going to let Adri take over this slide.
No, you're good. Yes. The benefits of starting, especially starting at a day camp and starting off from the K-1 and even second, is that one, they start to hone their social skills. I know even if you're starting in preschool, things are still a little bit slow, but coming to us before they get into kindergarten or first grade, they start to kind of get into that normal structure, like no nap time anymore. You have to learn that you can like get through the day from 9 to 3:30 and still have enough energy. We also have a thing, Safety Town, which I know everyone knows, and we make it a point that all of our kindergarten and first grade are being like given this opportunity, especially since our pandemic and last year, some camps weren't open. So a lot of our K-1 did not have the opportunity to learn Safety Town. Another skill gained from coming to our day camp is that they develop their motor skills and develop new interests on things that they might not know that they liked or even wanted to like. And it also just helps build confidence in them that they're away from their parents, like almost sometimes like for the first time for like a whole day, and like are not being like coddled or, someone standing behind them the whole time and like doing things for them. They're starting to do things on their own. So, yeah.
And then obviously, next we're going to think about the skills that we're gaining at date or at overnight camp. So at Camp Wise, you're really developing the skills that you're learning at day camps, but really being pushed to the edge of that independence, being away from your parents for 2 or 4 weeks, learning how to problem solve. If you're in a fight with your friend in your cabin, what does that look like? You can write mom a letter home, but mom's not going to solve that problem for you. So really figuring out those social skills and being able to solve those problems. Learning how to live with other people, I think that's personally the biggest skill that I've gained. When when your little kid gets all the way up to college, being at college is not going to be a hard transition because they'll have had that experience at overnight camp, being away from home, living with other people in an unfamiliar environment. And they'll learn how to make that space at college feel like home. And, the self-esteem and our encouragement to just participate in everything. Even if you don't love sports, you're still gonna, try playing basketball. And that is a really important skill just in terms of learning to do things that you might not enjoy, but also learn new interests. And you can bring things that you enjoyed at day camps, and there's an opportunity to have some free choice and independence in that. So you're able to choose what activities you want to be a part of on the day-to-day.
I think Bess, you're best at explaining this part.
Yeah, so a little bit of my personal background. I grew up at overnight camp. I grew up at Camp Wise, and the past few years, I actually spent time working at a day camp in St. Paul, Minnesota. and recently rejoined the Camp Wise team as part of their full-time staff. So I've really seen the full gamut of what it looks like to be a day camp camper, what it looks like to be at overnight camp, and what the transition looks like, and the many benefits of transitioning. Truly, it makes for a much easier transition. It's really hard going into overnight camp when you haven't had a day camp experience.
We have a question I wanted to inform you guys. So thank you for the question. Marcia Sunnyside asks, what's a good age for kids to try overnight camp? I feel like my daughter will be ready sooner than my son.
Yeah, and that's going to come actually later in our slides, but the truth is there's no right time. I'm going to, ruin our slides for later, but there is no right time. Typically, we see kids starting overnight camp in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades, but we also have campers who come in at 6th grade or 7th grade or even 8th grade.
And that's the beauty of like the day and overnight camp, where it's just like, from speaking from our experience, because we're very transparent with each other, that we've had some people that are going into 2nd and 3rd and said, oh, our kid is at the right age, but I don't think they're ready. And that way they can still come to our day camp, still get that experience, feel more confident in themselves to be ready for overnight camp.
Yeah. And the benefit is really, continuing those friendships. So many of the kids in our programs start off at day camps and then really continue those friendships, and they become lifelong friendship opportunities, which is, I think a huge benefit of camping. It becomes a really cohesive experience. A lot of the things that we're doing in both day camp and overnight camp, we're a really close-knit team, so they model each other. So while the certain parts of our days might look a little bit different, a lot of things that we're doing are going to be similar, which is going to just help with that transition.
Yeah.
And finally, when your child is much older and really ready to start working and get some of that real world experience, they have multiple opportunities to get that. They, at day camps, they can start working at age 15 as a counselor, and at Camp Wise, we start hiring counselors once they are 18. And that really is dependent on, what kind of culture they want to be immersed in. If they need to still be home for whatever reason, both day camps and overnight camps are good opportunities for our staff.
And we do like leaders in training at day camps too, which is going into 9th grade, where it's almost like you're a counselor, but you're learning from the counselor while still having fun at the same time. So I think like that's also an awesome experience to try out.
Yeah. So when is your camper ready to transition? There's no right answer. Adri, do you want to talk about some things to consider?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. So just like how we talked about before, there honestly isn't a right answer, and you as a parent knows best. So, and like I said before, if you're still having that worried feeling like you don't feel they're ready, then maybe holding them back, having them at day camp for one more year is the way to go. And then they'll get that confidence. Or maybe you just push them right into overnight camp, and they may love it or they may hate it, but as long as they've had that experience, I mean, I haven't heard anyone hate overnight camp, but or camp at all, but at least, just getting them into it, because overnight camp is like how Bess said earlier, it's kind of like you fly on your own. You're like a bird. You got to take that jump somehow. And, if you fall, there are counselors, supervisors there to pick you up and help you out. And that's what us as Mandel JCC are all about. And like, there are things to consider transitioning them, which is like daily care tasks. Can they dress on their own? Can they shower by themselves efficiently? Like, have they had a sleepover where it's gone successful and everything through the night worked out, and there are no like issues, I would say, that would prevent them from coming. But like I said before, it's just a trial, and I feel like you just trust your child to take that leap.
And also trust in the camp staff. Whatever camp you're attending, at Camp Wise, we're training our staff for 1 week this summer, we're actually having a 2-week long staff training, which we're really excited for. And we go through everything under the sun, whether it be from what does daily cabin cleanup look like to how to make sure your camper is like brushing their teeth every day and showering properly. And so our counselors are really well trained. And I think this is the same for any camp that you might choose. Our counselors are well trained in making sure your child is taken care of.
I have a question for you guys. But how do you have that conversation with your child who might be hesitant about going to overnight camp?
I think the best thing to do is show videos on our website, and I can put that in the chat in a moment. We have a bunch of different videos that show different aspects of camp life. I think it's really hard to imagine camp if you've never had any exposure or experience. So seeing videos, seeing what are the types of activities you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis, and asking questions. Think about what if you have a sibling, what's it like living with your sibling? Is it hard sometimes, or is it always perfect? It's definitely not always perfect. I have a sibling, but pushing your child to think about that a little bit and how they might problem solve during the summer, and who they can talk to if they are having trouble problem solving. I think at both day camps and overnight camps, we talk a lot about advocating for yourself as a child, and teaching your child to speak up and tell an adult when they need help, or when they need advice, or when they need anything. And I think that was actually our last slide of our presentation.
Did anyone else have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to go ahead and submit them in the chat now. I think that was a really good question. We'll just wait a couple minutes, see if anyone else has any questions.
Yeah, I'll bring up something. So what happens when you take the leap of faith and you send your young guy off to overnight camp, and first night he's crying, I want to call home. I mean, what's the protocol? How do we want him to stay, right?
I mean, I have had my fair share of homesick campers, and I think as a counselor, in our training, we talk about where's that homesickness coming from? Mm-hmm. Is it because a basic need isn't being met? Are they hungry? Are they thirsty? Are they tired? If it's happening during the day, it's probably one of those things. If it's right before lunch, that makes sense. They're hungry, they're upset, and they are saying that they're homesick, but really there's something else going on. So we teach our counselors to look at those 3 areas in terms of a basic need. If we think, okay, all of their basic needs are being met, they had a great night's sleep, they've been fed, they have enough water, what's next? Let's acknowledge that it's normal to be homesick, but then let's shift our focus. I saw you playing Gaga earlier, and you were having so much fun. What's going on now? Maybe it's a downtime in the day, and that's when they're starting to think about being homesick. Let's write a letter to mom and dad. What do you think mom and dad would say if they were here? What would they want you to have a good time? Would they want you to be happy and excited? Probably. They sent you to camp for a reason. So really just talking through that homesickness is, I think, the best thing. And only in extreme cases are we, calling a parent or letting a child talk to their parent. That's only if we really feel that it's needed.
Now, when you talk about the transition from day to overnight camp, and what about, would you suggest that they do some of the similar activities that they did at day camp to help with that transition? How are you preparing them from the day camp activities to the overnight camp activities?
That's a really good question. Because of how close we are, a lot of the stuff that we are doing at our day camps are going to be implemented at Camp Wise. Like, for example, like our outdoor adventure, a lot of the stuff correlate with what's going on at Camp Wise, along with our creative arts and our performing arts. A lot of the times, like every couple of weeks, we all, Camp Wise and day camps, we meet together because we want to make sure that, because we do have a lot of kids that do go to Camp Wise and sometimes come back to day camps for like a couple of weeks too, or do the flip-floppy kind of thing. And so we want to make sure that those kids that are taking part of that are still having a course of summer, like a great summer, and not doing the same thing over and over again, if that also makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's one of the things they want to make sure that, you know, I mean, I don't know how any kid could be bored at camp, honestly. Like, it just seems so fun.
Yeah.
And I guess my last, question, and, we're going to probably be asking this in almost every session, but I think every camp director might say something different. What are some of the essentials kids should pack? What are some of the essentials kids should and parents should pack, especially this summer for day camp and overnight camp?
For day camp, it's a little different. And obviously this year for day camps is very different as opposed to other years. So, our parents are going to be packing lunches for their kids. We are also recommending that the sunscreen and maybe the bug spray are like sprays instead of like the creamy substance, unless they're allergic to it. That way it makes the parent feel more secure that like there's not much contact coming in between the counselors and the campers as much as it needs to be. Another thing, but most of the stuff we provide, what we are doing this year is that we're providing like little name tags for our campers, because since we are going to be at the J this year and we're not at the neighboring camp across from Camp Wise in, we're technically in Burton, Ohio, which is right next to Chardon. We are having like these fun name tags where they can also put their masks inside so that the parent doesn't have to worry about that. And also the camper knows that just like if you're social distance outside, it goes in there every time, ziplocked, put away, waterproof, so that parents don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, like, are they going to lose every mask I bring to camp?
Or they break, like at school, like I'm always like, yeah. I pack extra ones. I'm like, where's all your extras? They all broke, or they're giving them to other kids. So yeah. Anything to add?
I think they can provide.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Camp Wise, the biggest difference is you're packing for an extended vacation. But unlike a vacation where you have like a comfy hotel bed and all your amenities taken care of, it's a little bit different at camp where it's a rustic camp, right? So we always encourage parents, especially if it's your first time, if your child has like a blanket or a stuffed animal that they like to sleep with that is like soothing for them, depending on their attachment to it, either have a replacement for the summer, because things do get dirty and potentially go missing, and we don't want to ruin anyone, or bring that stuffed animal to them with them to overnight camp. Camp Wide, and we'll also be requiring masks, so sending up plethora of masks this summer. And at Camp Wise, we encourage families to bring either fun or crazy clothes or fun costumes or hats, because we like to dress up. I know Adri and I were talking earlier about her themed weeks at camp, which is a little bit easier when you're at home, but our kids get creative and they love dressing up.
Oh yeah.
I got a question about technology, right? So we're coming off of a year here where everyone, and kids included, are more glued to computers, laptops, iPads, and obviously phones more than ever before. So like, obviously, I'm assuming no phones for anyone, right? And what does it look like then? Again, when it's like these kids are, do you have anything new in place this year? I think, because I feel like kids are even have a harder time giving up the phone. Like, I mean, it's great because they don't even see a phone anywhere. They just have to get unplugged. So how do you transition that? I mean, the day one must be even harder because at night they're going home to the devices, right? So
Yes. It's a little situational for the grade. For our K-1 grades, it is extremely hard because that's all they kind of know, a lot of them.
Yeah.
They just know like the iPad and the tablets, and especially if some of them at home, they've been on Zoom. So it is, and that's what we train. We like do a 2-week training with our supervisors and then a 1-week training with our like younger counselors, because we do have junior counselors that will start off going into 10th grade. So obviously it's going to be, it's also hard for them too, because a lot of teenagers are used to their phones also.
Right.
But because of like how we're implementing everything, there wouldn't be a time, if that makes sense, that there are so many things that are going to be going on, especially for the little ones that are going to be like, oh my goodness, like, what is this? There's all these things that are bigger than me and all these things that we can do, that I think it's going to be slightly easier in the beginning. And then once they get in that routine, where especially if they go home on like the weekends and they're like, well, where's my phone? Where's my tablet? But it's again, making sure on our part that every day that they come in, we have something for them and that they just enjoy that experience. They don't even think of their phone as soon as they get onto our site, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And for Camp Wise, we're talking a lot about what we're doing, a lot of pre-camp work and talking with our parents and have it in their forms that they fill out before the summer. We're asking a lot of questions. What learning model was your child in? Are you worried about the technology? It's going to be a withdrawal almost. Are you concerned about anything that's happened this past year that we should be aware of? So we added a lot of questions to our pre-camp forms, really addressing COVID, if they have, extra anxiety because of COVID. A lot of kids, their anxiety is through the roof right now. So our pre-camp forms are really for that purpose. I think the biggest transition is going to be for our first-time campers who have never been to camp and never really had that experience away from their phones for that long of a time. And for those campers, we typically do a phone call before the summer from their village supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so very important for everyone to be away from their phones. But we're doing Zoom now, but but for the kids, it will be a Zoom-free summer, hopefully. So so otherwise, I don't think we have any other questions. But I really want to say thank you guys thank you so much, Bess and Adrionna, for coming today. I think that's a lot of helpful information for parents. Our next session is going to be at 2:00 for the state of camps. But I hope everyone also goes ahead and visits the exhibitors here in this virtual, and then also our in-person and drive-through event. Do you want to talk about that a little, Brad?
Yeah, we're excited once again, as I mentioned at the onset, March 20th on the west side of Crocker Park, our live event for both a drive-through to pick up a bag full of information and goodies, as well as an in-person event where we'll have some of the vendors and sponsors there. And then, and that's on that Saturday, the 20th from 10 to 2. And then the 28th will be on the east side at Acacia Clubhouse, same time, 10 to 2. And you can register at northeastohioparent.com. Mandel JCC is one of our silver sponsors, so they'll be on site from what I understand. They can answer more questions. So we're excited, and I know parents are excited about camp. I know this year we're kind of walking on eggshells a little bit, but at least we're getting back to a little bit of normal. And we definitely encourage parents to just check it out, ask a million questions so you get comfortable. So thanks to the both of you for participating. And all these sessions are archived. They're recorded and are accessible after the fact. So we'll make sure we send links out to everyone. So thanks again.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you. And see everyone else at the next session at 2:00.